Hello there, I'm RavingSaint, and this is World of Warships. This video is going to be a little different from what I normally do. Um, I would like to start a series on how to World of Warships, and I want to focus on the team play, which I feel there's not a lot of videos talking about how to team play within each different carrier ship type. Carriers, cruisers, battleship, and destroyers. Now, I am not going to claim to be an expert. I have a very average win rating. I have a very average kill-death ratio. I am not an expert. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to say. But, you know, with over 1,000 games under my belt, I do feel like it is important to discuss what I feel are important behaviors for each ship type and for each ship captain to show and display when they're playing in a match. And, you know, at the very least, just start talking about what are good team play tactics for broad classes of ships. I don't want to focus on an individual ship because I only have so many ships that I've played in. I certainly don't feel like an expert in all of them, you know, so I'm going to try to stay away from that. I want to focus on team play. But I also realize that if we're going to talk about, you know, how to do things, we all need to be speaking the same language. So on this first introductory video, I do want to discuss some really important tools built into the game. I feel that really helped me when people pointed them out, and I think is really helpful because I'm not sure everybody knows about these helpful tips when they go to play the game. And, you know, too many people, they just jump into the game and they don't use all the tools that are available to them, and they get frustrated with the game and then they quit. And that's really unfortunate because, you know, we want to have a healthy, large community, and in order to have a healthy, large community, everyone needs to be speaking the same language, or at least as many people as possible. So first things first, let's talk about these helpful hacks. They're actually just tools that are already built in the game. Go into settings and then go to controls. Now, some things you should put on, what I have put on. Terrain hit indicator on. I think that's already on. Collision avoidance system, that's entirely up to you. I've just left it on. But for me, one of the biggest important tools is this alternate interface mode. And what that does is that changes a lot of things. If I remember correctly, I don't even remember what it changes. I haven't. I've been playing so long with it on, I don't remember what it looks like without it. But if I remember correctly, one of the tools it puts up is the timer, the shell to hit target time on your crosshair, and that's really important because it helps with aiming. When you have your crosshair up, let's select crosshair. When you have that crosshair up and you have the alternate interface time on, it'll tell you somewhere in the crosshair, I think it's somewhere right here, the number of seconds it'll take to hit your shell to hit the location that you are aimed at. And that's really important because when you know how long it's going to take to hit the target, how long the shell's going to take to hit the location you're pointed at, you can make a better educated guess on the amount of lead that you need to the target. It also displays the name of the vessels, which is important for making decisions and all that other crazy stuff. So put that mode on. That is the first thing I tell any one of my friends who wants to play World of Warships. Go into settings, controls, and put on alternate interface mode. Put it on full. And since I've already opened it up, selecting the crosshair. This is the crosshair I like. There are many different types you can choose from. Find one you like. I use the static. I've heard that dynamic is better when it comes time to aiming, but I've just been using this static crosshair for so long, I'm kind of scared to fix what ain't broke. So this is what I use, but find one that suits you. Find one that's good for you. So choose that. Man, they need to stop changing that every time I close that. Anyway, okay. So another couple tools that I like to use The show smoke screen boundaries that help you better understand the boundaries of the smoke puffs you're in. That helps. Damage indicator. We'll get back to that. Show smoke screen timer indicator. Especially when you're in a destroyer or one of the Royal Navy cruisers. This is really important because unless you want to memorize the amount of time that your smoke screen is up, which is something that can easily be forgotten in the chaos of battle, this is just another tool so that you don't need to focus on that. You can focus on sinking the enemy ships. You can focus on looking at them. You don't need to be counting in your head, 50 seconds, 49 seconds, 48. This will tell it for you. And, that frees up some of your internal memory space. Detailed ribbons. What this tells is the shell hits. Without this, it'll only tell you that a shell has hit the target. But that's all it's telling you. It doesn't tell you if the shell shattered, bounced, overpan, or properly penetrated. If you hit this detailed ribbon on, it will show that on the proper icon, which are pretty self-explanatory. You can figure it out easily. It's not that important, but I like it because it helps me make important decisions, especially when you're shooting shells on the fly. You don't want to be watching the shells so much as you want to be looking around, making sure that there aren't enemy torpedoes, making sure you're not going to blunder into one of your teammates or come around a bad corner. This helps you just check and see. This gives you, a more accurate appraisal of what your shells are doing. If your shells are bouncing, that doesn't necessarily mean you're hitting at the wrong area. It just means that your target has moved and you might want to switch to a different shell, especially if you're using armor piercing. If the shells are shattering, that tells you, hey, you need to change where you're aiming on the ship. You're aiming on too thick of a target. The armor belt or whatever is too thick. You need to change where you're hitting, either move higher or lower. Without this enabled, it's really hard to tell. You can't tell unless you're watching and seeing if the shells are shattering or bouncing or whatever, when you got really more important things to do other than just watching your shells in a binocular view. That's how you get in trouble. So put on the detailed ribbons. I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to break it if it ain't broken. Show both main battery and torpedo tube loading indicators. I like having this on, especially when it comes down to torpedo tubes, because torpedo tubes, they take really long to load, and sometimes it's really important to know how many more seconds. And it has a nice little handy indicator that's right there that you can just check. No guessing, no hitting control and blubbering about. So that helps. Finally, the damage indicator. What that shows, it shows on the upper right-hand corner, especially if you've been watching my streams, the amount of damage you've done so far in the match. It's not that important, but I like having it because it's another tool for me, so I can decide, hey, am I doing enough damage? Am I spending too much time camping? Especially if you've set a target on fire or you're causing flooding damage on a ship. It's nice to know, hey, are they still taking damage? Because that helps you. That can help you communicate with the team. Hey, this guy hasn't used his damage control, or this guy, he just used his damage control. He's taking on all his damage, or he's close to sinking. Focus another target. That's all. That is wonderful information. So, we have all these wonderful tools here that you can use in game. These wonderful little hacks that aren't really hacks at all that can help you make the game more enjoyable for you. So. That was my little introductory video. I hope that was okay. I'm excited for this journey. I really am. And I really hope I can do a good job giving helpful tips in the series to come. So that was episode 1. Thank you for watching. You all have a good day.